So my dude's Valk here, and today I'm going to be attempting to explain the Raiden Shogun in a way that makes sense for kind of everybody, so we can all kind of understand together how she works, what she functions from my play experiences, from everything. Ignore the team I have on right now. This is like my new favorite team. I love using Aloy in this little quick swap team I've set up. But the main thing about Raiden Shogun that I want to talk about, I'm going to break it down into stat balancing, weapon, how her damage works, how you want to use her in what situations. She's more akin to Venti. I would compare her more to Venti than Zhongli, and the fact that she is really good in situations where there's lots of enemies around and that you can clump them together. Her single target does suffer because her E becomes virtually useless against single target. However, her ult is so freaking strong that it doesn't matter. But without C2, you're really not going to see the insane power of her ult. You really do need C2 to be able to see like exactly how strong her ult can get. But without C2, it gets kind of eh. Anyways, basically, I'm going to be talking about everything. First thing is the stat balancing for Raiden Shogun. Why is Raiden Shogun so hard to build? Why are so many people having issues with her? Well, the number one thing is crit rate, crit damage, and energy recharge. You really want to full send the energy recharge, and the reason you want to full send the energy recharge is because energy recharge feeds into everything. With energy recharge, she can generate her own energy back that much faster because E's in the energy recharge or the energy generation from her E is god awful, it's terrible. But with high enough energy recharge, you can turn your teammates' energy particles that they're sucking up while she's off the field and generate even more energy that way, so it really helps out. Not to mention the fact that with enough energy recharge, you get a lot of electro damage bonus. And her weapon obviously helps tremendously with it with a 55% energy recharge base. And at R1, this is obviously R3, I can read. But at R1, this is 30% energy recharge. So you're getting 85% energy recharge from her own weapon. Now, if you do not have her own weapon, you really want to get the catch. I don't recommend running Staff of Homa, Primordial Jade Wing Spear, even Skyward Spine. I don't recommend those over the catch. You really want to try to grind up to that R5 catch. It's really, really, really good. It really helps out a lot with building, and building is the hardest thing for her because she has to balance a bunch of stats. You have to focus, like I said, energy recharge, but if you focus too much on energy recharge, your attack's going to drop. You focus too much into attack, your energy recharge is going to drop. You focus too much into crit, your energy recharge is going to drop. There's a nice balance of stats that you need to have, and no matter how like what stat balance you have, you're going to need to run Emblem of Severed Fate with her. You absolutely need this 4-piece set. There's not really any other set that works with her. Now, whenever it comes to what stats should you run, what stats should you do, this is one of the hardest parts is because I can't help you. There's not going to be a guide on the internet that can really help you. I can tell you just try to balance everything, whether that means running an ER Sands and attack goblet, whatever you need to do, you do you, boo-boo. Balance all the stats as much as humanly possible, but in the end, this is going to take you having enough game sense to be able to figure out how you need to build your character. There's not really a guide on the internet that's going to be able to tell you exactly how to build Raiden Shogun because it's all going to be varied based off the artifacts you get and the balancing act you're doing with substats. So that is the stat balance out of the way. The other thing I want to get into is basically, like I touched on a little bit earlier, with her C2 is massive to her. You're not going to see crazy single target damage unless you have the C2, but she's going to have child level of AoE as long as she has something to help cluster, which like an Animo unit. But her weapon, as I said, Engulfing Lightning and the catch. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to start talking about everything else. So basically with her, in my opinion, her absolute best friend is Kazuha. Kazuha built pure EM gives her around 40% more electro damage bonus, so she gets some crazy electro damage bonus. But she works with virtually anybody as long as it's AoE, right? She works in any AoE team because the amount of AoE she can actually apply, the amount of targets she hits per E is really, really good. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this AoE team, and I'm going to kind of just AFK and ignore, and they're not going to get killed in one cycle because this isn't really meant for damage, especially Venti. Venti has a literal level 1 Windbloom Ode, so this team isn't exactly crazy damage, but you're going to get to see exactly how many enemies get hit per E proc with this. Like if I do this, you can watch the E proc, see the giant like electro numbers, the thousands of electro numbers. You can see how many pop up at once. That's Raiden Shogun. That's how much AoE she actually does. She does insanity amount of AoE to the point where I can just, as long as I have a grouper, any sort of grouper, I could just literally AFK. I don't even have to play the game. I could just go to the store, you know, deposit some money. That way I can whale more and Raiden Shogun. No, but you get the idea. Like, there's really no need to do anything whenever you do this because of the amount of AoE she can do. She just hits everything as long as you have some sort of character to group it. Via, whether it be Sucrose, Kazuha, or anyone really. I mean, it doesn't matter. So you're going to want an anima unit with her. So I fully believe that Kazuha is her best unit because Kazuha buffs her. He also has a giant field that if enemies get into with her E active, it pretty much is guaranteed to hit them. And if you manage to swirl Pyro actually with the big field, you can do really big overload procs that will constantly hit. It'll bounce them and it'll juggle a lot of enemies in the air. It's really good like that. So that's another thing, is you really want an anima unit to cluster with her. If you don't have Kazuha, Venti, or Sucrose built, then that's kind of cope. But you really want to try to run her with one of those three. In my opinion, that's where she's going to shine. So the other thing is, she is not a pure support. She is not a pure DPS. She is a hybrid. She does both. She does everything. She says, I want to do all the jobs in the team. I don't want to leave anything for anybody else. I want to be able to kind of do whatever I want. Because the slashes like that, those slashes are huge AoE, but their damage is really low. But if I'm doing 4k a slash like that, if every slash I'm doing is 4,000 damage, if I'm hitting 5 enemies, I'm actually doing 20,000 a slash. If I'm hitting 8 enemies, if it's some crazy stuff, I'm dealing 40,000 a slash or something. No, 4 times I'd be doing like, what, 32k a slash. So it's all about how much you can cluster up and how much you can do with that. And then the final thing is for her E is that it buffs ult, as we all know. And the reason it's a big deal is because that to me is what puts her over units like Albedo, and the fact that she also has a really strong ult on top of it to go ahead and give her that much more damage. Whew. Anyways, hopefully I explained how to build a team around Raiden Shogun, and hopefully I explained how to use her in a way that's going to work. As far as the other two units outside of the anima units, it comes down to preference. I have done everything from Overload Hu Tao to Child with Bido as the 4th unit, with Kazuha as the 3rd, to anything I can get my hands on. Basically, she just becomes an AoE monster, and even inside of her ult, her ult doesn't change her single target, it just makes her AoE that much stronger. Because if I go here and I do this, and you can see exactly how much ult damage she does, or how much AoE she does inside her ult, everything she does is massive AoE. I think, like I said, to me she's really comparable to Child, but she also has a lot of support capabilities, whereas Child is just crazy fast attack speed. So all I gotta do is this. There's not really any buffs going on. There's this, and then I just start charge attacking, and I hit everything inside this circle, and everything Venti has sucked up I've been swacking. So that's basically how her AoE works. I think it's pretty good. I think she's overall a really good unit. I think I need to do more testing to figure out more comps I can run with her, but based off what I've tested, no matter what, you're running her with an anima unit. Anyways, thank you guys all for watching as always. Hopefully this helps everybody understand the Raiden Shogun a little bit better. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know in the comment section below what teams you're running with Raiden Shogun and if this video helps you out. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Peace.